Welcome to Empyre, right here at Comicstorian. This is the place where we take your favorite comic book-based movies and tell you what happened in them. We tell you what's going on in the comic book landscape by doing our own versus videos, and of course, we read you the comic books dramatically in digestible bites, giving you an audio drama, allowing you to keep up with your favorite comic books with my poorly acted voices. Today we're going to be doing Empyre Issue 1, which is an event that seems to be unaffected by all of the superheroes' individual books. But what you basically need to know is that the Fantastic Four are siding with one side, the Avengers are siding with the other side, and there's a war in space. So let's see the first issue and how this whole thing came to be. As the Fantastic Four's spaceship flies through the armada that is the Skull-Kree Alliance, Thing asks, "This is a revolting development, ain't it?" Reed tells him, "That, old friend, is an excellent question. The Kree Imperium has been in conflict with the Skrulls for a millennia. Now it would seem that the war is over at last. It would be considered good news if their heavily armed war fleet wasn't headed towards Earth, and they have no idea as to why. After sending his son and daughter, Franklin and Val, to escape Earth with the Skrull and Kree children, Joven and Nakala, Reed tells Sue to give them some cover. As Sue begins to turn the ship, everyone inside turns invisible. Johnny then says that it still weirds him out when they do this. Thing asks, "Yeah, you should try flying a spaceship without seeing the controls, or your hands, while you saw them through a high-speed alien army." But as the Thing brings the ship closer to the main cruiser in the fleet, the team notices someone familiar at the helm. Theodore Altman, Hulkling, one of Earth's heroes. His father was Kree, his mother was Skrull. Who better to lead the hybrid army? Inside of the cruiser, Super Skrull says that there is something out there, hidden from sight. Please allow him to show the Fantastic Four. Communication channels are now open. As Super Skrull uses his powers to reveal the Fantastic Four's ship, Hulkling says that he would assume that they have some questions. Meanwhile, down on the moon, Tony Stark looks up into space and Cap asks if everything's all right. Tony tells him yeah, just getting his thoughts in order. He has set his armor to record mental impressions, and Thor asks if that's like making another backup copy of himself. Tony says to think of it more as a black box, because if things go badly, they're going to need people to know what they were doing and why. But that's when Swordsman asks She-Hulk if she could come with him for a moment. He has a weapon for her to use against their enemies. She-Hulk says that she doesn't need the puny sword, but Swordsman tells her that she'll need this. Trust me on that. Back with the group, Tony finishes his last preparation as Quoe arrives and he asks, what do they call him now? Your worship. Quoe laughs, stating that some may call him the Celestial Messiah, but to the Avengers, he is simply Quoe. The Kree and the Skrulls have united to destroy the Kotati and burn down this sacred place, but once again, in our time of need, our allies have united to avenge our sorrow. When this day is done, there will be a place reserved for the Avengers here in this garden. Forever. Captain America tells Quoe that he appreciates that. It means a great deal to them, and they will do everything that they can to earn it. But then a calm voice says, "So say we all." Everyone looks back at She-Hulk, except she is composed and smiling. Thor asks, "Jennifer?" And She-Hulk says that it's her. Really her. The resonance of the amber inside this hammer, along with the Kotati meditation techniques, is helping her keep focus, calming the rage inside, but keeping the strength and the power. She's an intelligent, savage Hulk, and honestly, she hasn't felt more alive in years. Thor stares for a moment, telling her, well, good. But then Tony begins to put back on his helmet, telling everyone to get ready. The Kree Skrull War fleet are coming. Visual contact in 3, 2, 1. And as the war fleet begins to fill the sky, Carol opens up comms to the Armada, telling them that they know who she is. She may no longer speak for Earth, but they all know that she doesn't speak lightly. This garden is under the Avengers' protection. This will be their only warning. Tony then says, yeah, and if it were me, you wouldn't even get that. So think very carefully about your next. But soon, Tony trails off as Reed Richards appears on the screen from the inside of the cruiser asking, What are you doing here? Tony asks, What are you doing here, Reed? Wait, is that Hulkling of the Young Avengers? How have you got him mixed up in all of this? Reed thinks for a moment and then tells them. It would seem that Hulkling here is the one who united the Kree and the Skrulls, but actually, the Alliance came first, didn't it? I'm assuming that the Super Skrull and the Pursuer, rulers of the old regimes, made the first move, but to truly bring them together, they needed a new leader, one whom both sides could pledge to. Hulkling says that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I never wanted to be Emperor, but taking the job meant that I could save lives. The Kree Civil War was in full swing, millions dying every day, Avengers, until I called for a ceasefire from the Kree Imperium. I managed to end 2 wars in one day by holding a sword in the air. Wouldn't anyone else do the same? Thor asks, what of the Kotati's lives? Your armada comes to murder them all. And Hulkling says that the Kotati have had a chance to surrender. But that garden is a threat to the well-being of the galaxy. Cap asks, who would tell you that? After a moment of hesitation, Hulkling says that the Super Skrull and Tanaleth. And yes, he knows how that sounds, but he completely trusts them. Tony then asks if he's really that naive. Seriously, do you not see what's happening? You think that they've accepted you because you held a sword up? They are warrior races. They are using you, Hulkling. This is a PR stunt, an easy target to cement their alliance, a blood sacrifice, and it will be on your hands, Hulkling. Hulkling begins to tell them that it's not what it seems, and Tony stops him, telling him, you screwed up, but don't worry, kid. The Avengers are going to save you. Just stay out of the way. Ghost Rider? Ghost Rider tells Tony, I'm all set. And soon the Ghost Quinjet rockets into the sky. Reed tells Hulk that they can work through this problem together, and Thing says, yo, we all make mistakes, now we just... Super Skrull yells, the mistake is theirs! Do not let them sway you, my liege! We have always had your interests at heart. And Sue asks if he really believes that, then they need to stand down. Thing then says, come on, kid. I'll even let you say it's clobbering time. You want to really be a figurehead for these schmucks? Hulkling thinks for a moment and then says, no, I can do better. Super Skrull, Captain Glottery, take battlefield command. Hold off the Avengers, but no enemy casualties. The rest of you, we make our stand here. Sue creates a bubble around Super Skrull, and Glory says, no, we stand here and talk this through like civilized. But as the two disappear within the bubble, Morrigan releases her magic, stating that they were all mere illusions. Super Skrull and Glory are already out of the airlock. Thing asks, oh, is this how it's gonna be? You like the taste of power? Hulkling tells them, hardly. But they clearly won't listen, and we honestly don't have time to convince them. So now, it's clobbering time. Out in space, Ghost Rider is using the Quinjet to deliver the penance stare to all of the attacking forces, but Glory flies by stating, that won't work on someone who has zero guilt. Captain Glory doesn't commit sins, he only follows orders. And while the battle begins to escalate, back on the moon, Thor asks, am I really needed here more than out there? The Avengers require Mjolnir's might to aid them. Tony tells him, they surely do. Now swing for the fences, buddy. As Tony attaches a small device to the hammer's handle, Thor begins spinning a Mjolnir, stating, so be it! As Thor lets Mjolnir go, it launches into space, and it comes crashing down on Hulkling's sword with a thundering thwang! Hulkling manages to hold back the hammer, and Tony says, cool beans! Activate phase 2. The small device on the handle then begins to spark, and soon all of the computers on each of the Warfleet's ship begin to pop up with a virus. Tony says that this isn't his first rodeo with these particular clowns. At this point, he knows their systems like he knows the Fresh Prince lyrics. In about 3 seconds, every ship in the fleet will suffer a critical overload. They'll be alive, but they're going to be marooned. And as the fighting begins to stop, Koei says that he must thank the Avengers. They have done a noble service to the Kotati and life itself. Not the skittering meat things that shatter and poison and devour, but true life. The Kotati will not forget that. By delaying the fleet, they have brought them the necessary time for the flowering. The leaves wrap around Koei and they begin to unfold and blossom, and Koei begins to paint himself, stating that when they rise in all their splendor, in all their wrath, let the death blossom bloom. Even on this harsh soil, it will magnify our power, our will, and we will take back the universe that was always ours. I do not come to bring peace, but the sword of vengeance, to bring punishment. We are the Avengers now, and we will be avenged. As the death blossom blooms, Koei uses his powers to control all the vegetation on each of the ships, killing all of those on board. And the one question that everyone begins to ask comes out. What have the Avengers done? The plant life ravages friends and foes alike, and Koei yells that they will let the animal worlds fall and the Kotati will rise anew, masters of the cosmos. as they should have always been. From here, we plant the seed of the Imperium. On this planet, we begin our empire. And that concludes Empyre Issue 1, The Avengers versus the Fantastic Four, and a twist that we all probably saw coming. Somebody had to be on the bad side. But the question is, what's going to happen next in the Marvel Universe? To answer a couple of your questions, Iron Man 2020 is still going on. It seems to be unaffected by this. If you don't know what's happening in Iron Man 2020, then go check out our Iron Man playlist where Tony Stark has basically died again. But that doesn't seem to be affecting Tony Stark and the Avengers. Tony Stark and the Avengers seems to be doing like the Avengers movie cast kind of a thing. So that way you can enjoy the Avengers movie cast, but if you like Tony Stark, you can do his own thing. Many of the other superheroes are doing their own stuff in their own comics. It's unaffected by Empyre. Empyre is this big war that is happening. It's the big Marvel event. It has been cut short, but don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button because we're going to be doing Empyre as it comes out so that you know what's going on in the Marvel Universe right now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today, and I will see you next time right here.